Hey everybody, what's up? I'm back with another movie review, and this time it's for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is a non-spoilers review, so don't worry if you haven't seen the movie yet. Let's just get started. So now we jump back into the next installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Guardians 2. And while everyone loved the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and I am one of those people who loved the first Guardians, I don't believe that it was the best Marvel Cinematic film there was, as some people did. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed Part 1. Going into Volume 2, I think I could say the same thing. I really enjoyed Volume 2. I didn't like it any better than Volume 1, but I didn't like it any worse. There are a lot of things that are done really well in this film and very special to this film, especially considering the success and originality of Part 1. The best thing about the Guardians this time around has got to be the characters and the character development. James Gunn has an amazing handle on these characters and really knows the inner workings of them and how to make the audience connect with them. All of our favorites are back: Drax, Gamora, Rocket, Starlord, Baby Groot, and some new additions like Yondu, which was in the previous movie, Part 1, Nebula, and Mantis. The character development of Starlord and Rocket in particular in this film are really, really good, and it really pushes their characters to new levels, and I love the way that the story took them and the way the elements in the story had on their character, like the effect they had on their character. But the real star of this film has got to be Yondu. What? Michael Rooker as Yondu was amazing in this film. He steals the show. His storyline was one of the most gripping and enticing parts of this film, and he played it so well, and he's really become my favorite Guardian now. I'll get back to Star-Lord's character development story in a second. Another thing this film did was take the comedy from Part 1 and move it up to an 11. Drax is incredibly, in particular, hilarious. And because James Gunn has done such a good job telling these characters' stories to the audience, it makes the comedy 10 times more funny because we know these characters, we know their quirks, we know when Drax is being very literal that it's funny. And we know this so well that the jokes hit so much harder. So now, back to Star-Lord. As you see in the trailer, Chris Pratt's Star-Lord meets his dad, played by Kurt Russell, Ego the Living Planet. I really, really enjoy how they took this storyline from the comic and made it very tangible for the audience, because it's a really trippy thing, a really trippy idea. But it's really cool, and I love the designs and other things I can't really mention on how they dealt with Ego the Living Planet. And I think that Kurt Russell portrayed him great, and I love their dynamic and their relationship with each other. Now, on to the negatives. So I think the biggest problem of this film to me is the structure of the storyline. For the first half, maybe well into the second half of the movie, I wasn't completely sure about what the goal was or what the goal of the Guardians were. I really didn't start to know what was going on until actually around the beginning of the third act of the film. There was another group of characters in this that I don't want to spoil too bad. They're called the Sovereign. You see them in the trailers, but I didn't see the relevance of them throughout the film, so that was another thing that kind of bothered me. And while the visual effects were incredible, I feel like some characters did not get their due action scenes or their due development because of the story focusing on other things more than the rest of the Guardians. We didn't get to see much of the Guardians together throughout this film, and more so a little bit of Star-Lord, a little bit of Rocket, and a very little bit of some other characters. Gamora was great in this film, but I feel like she was underutilized. Drax, underutilized. Baby Groot, I loved everything with Baby Groot. Underutilized. And they rarely touched on Nebula at all. And while she did have the little storyline with Gamora, and I did enjoy that talk about what happened between them, but I just feel like there could have been more done. Another thing is the music. The music I really enjoyed in this film, and it really brought out the best of it. But once again, I found myself comparing it to Part 1, and it didn't strike me the way Part 1's soundtrack did. So overall, I had a great time with this movie. Really fun, really entertaining. Once again, I don't feel like it was better than Part 1, but I feel like it picked up in other places that made it just as good. Definitely go see it if you're a fan of the MCU or just of good films that entertain you. I give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 an 8 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this movie review. Be on the lookout for more of them in the future, and until next time, peace.